Yeah, life on the outside continues. Today is Saturday, February 23rd, 2008. This is the Harry Thomas Show Week in Review. The website is located at harrythomas.info. I've got so much stuff to talk about this week, it'll make your head spin. I've got stuff coming up on the space race, 9/11 news, police brutality out of control. Is Obama's life in danger? John McCain is a liar again and again. I mean, this stuff is maddening. Let's talk about creating a one world consciousness. Now, as we get thrust into world government, as the new world order heads into total global domination, they're blaming all the modern crises on man-made, saying they're man-made. They're using global warming and stuff as excuses to bring in global taxes. They're manipulating the system. This has been going back to a long time ago. We're talking about the Club of Rome in 1974 put out a report called Mankind at the Turning Point. They said that they desire to create a unified, organic, or independent world system. This system is by definition totalitarianism. The Club of Rome is a premier think tank comprised of approximately 100 members, including leading scientists, philosophers, political advisors, and many other characters who lurk in the shadows of power. Now, they've designed this system to put in a total control grid, and that's exactly what they're going forth with. This goes on to say that in that document put out by the Club of Rome, therefore, we have concentrated our efforts in this report on a number of vital worldwide issues whose mastery we consider essential for man's survival and for an eventual transition into a sustainable material and spiritual development of humanity. They want to control humanity here. How are they going to mind control you into accepting their solution? Their solution is total consolidation of power. That's why it's called a one world consciousness. Now, the transition is creating a new mankind. Now, this is how they're going to be doing this stuff. And this article is available for you to read at the website. A one world consciousness. A world consciousness must be developed through which every individual realizes his role as a member of the world community. It must become part of the consciousness of every individual that the basic unit of human cooperation and hence survival is moving from the national to the global level. And in order to do this, you have to give up your sovereignty. And just think about it, and think about how they're training people in universities, through the media and everything else. Any medium they can, they're trying to talk in ways to create the world consciousness. They want everybody to think that we have no choice against globalization. We have no choice but to have a one world government to take control of us, to control all the bad things that are happening, when in fact the things that are happening are being manipulated by the elite globalists that are pushing these solutions. And this is what happens when you're using the Hegelian principle. Now, they're going to be using in this transition global warming and the new mankind, and this is what it is. It's this fear-based power control. It says here, in searching for the new enemy to unite us, all of humanity, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. And this is what they're doing. The real enemy is humanity itself. You can go read this stuff for yourself. You can't make this stuff up. It came out a very important document this week by Don Norden, Overview of the Security and Prosperity Partnership and Implications. The SPP, according to its authors and proponents, has stated that the purpose of providing a greater cooperation on security and economic issues and making North America more prosperous. It's being propagandized as being concerned with trade issues only. However, critics argue that SPP is the blueprint for building a European Union-style merger of the three countries in North America, creating a North American Union. The SPP is headed by three top-level officers of each country. We got the Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary of State. We got in Mexico the Secretary of Economics, Secretary of Government, and we've got the Secretary of External Relations. In Canada, they have the Minister of Industry, the Minister of Public Safety, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Now, these officials are putting it together. You can deny it all you want, but it's happening. and it must be stopped. We can't be thrust into world government. We're going to lose our country. We're going to lose the foundation that this country was built on to become a beacon of freedom. Okay? The Constitution and the Bill of Rights is what is protecting us from this tyranny. And we must stand against this. Now, in the House of Commons, critic Peter Julian said that the motion that would make these SPP working groups more accountable has been tabled, okay, which means they're not even going to talk about it. And what they want is to try to keep an eye on it. See, the resistance is happening, but they're not reporting it. It's crazy. It's crazy what they're doing now. The Texans are protesting against it. They had planned NAFTA superhighway meetings. And these international global companies are coming in and having their way with our politicians, said Terry Hall of Texas. And it doesn't matter what the people do. They're just going to keep doing whatever they want. It's our way of life. I mean, they're messing with Texas, said Lou Dobbs. And Ron Paul was on Lou Dobbs, and he talked about the NAU superhighway.
This is about international global companies that are coming in and having their way with our politicians and making sure that this kind of an international corridor happens. Doesn't matter what it does to the people in the path. It doesn't matter what it does to our way of life.
And that's not going over well with thousands of people in the way of the massive project who've shown up at town hall meetings held by the state.
Citizens here are not going to bear the burden so Walmart can get their cargo into the U.S. cheaper and faster.
So far, none of the companies interested in financing the corridor are American. And among its opponents, presidential candidate and Texas Congressman Ron Paul.
We don't know exactly what the long-term plan on or what the motivation is. Is this part of the North American Union, or is this just to enhance travel in Texas? And I suspect it's a lot more, and it's very costly. It involves millions of acres that may be taken under eminent domain. And besides that, everybody I've run into in Texas, the people here don't want it.
And they're going to further the North American Union police state agenda. And there's a push for a militarized North American Union police state. They're setting it all up with NORTHCOM, U.S. NORTHCOM, and Northern Command. And this is all going in, and so is Canada. CanadaCom is to assist in the U.S. in emergencies. This is under Department of Homeland Security, and in Canada, the Public Safeties of Canada. They're merging all together now. And they're going to be pushing in martial law. Former Congressman warns of martial law. Former Congressman warns of martial law camps in America. The San Francisco Chronicle article outlines Homeland Security's endgame. And this Congressman Dan Hamburg seen the stuff beginning in 1999. The government entered in a series of single big contracts with Halliburton subsidiary Kellogg, Brown, and Root to build detention camps at undisclosed locations within the United States. Now, the Homeland Security Plan is entitled Endgame, and it sets its goal in the removal of all removable aliens and potential terrorists. Now, under new legislation, everybody's a terrorist. All these spy programs, everything else is all for Americans. The whole infrastructure of tyranny is all set up inside the United States for a modern-day corporate fascism. $385 million contracted by the Homeland Security to destruct detention centers. And you're paying for your own tyranny. It's a total scam. And Blair, he wants to be the head of Europe. He's coming up against opposition. The U.S. and the EU is supporting a political process linked to organized crime, and they decide who runs what. There's a huge article up. It's all about the history of that. Journalists who exposed UN corruption, they disappear from Google. Like they don't even exist. So this is what happens. So now it's time to bookmark Inner City Press to see what they have to say exposing UN corruption. And I will be back in segment 2 to expose all kinds more corruption. Thanks for listening.